All right, what's up, everybody? This is John with Archer Film. Just a quick story. So when I first moved to LA, I tried to, actually for the whole time I was there, for the 20 years I was in LA, I tried to absorb as much about the industry as I could. I read every single book that I could, went to every sort of function that I could. In the early to mid 2000s, they had these great screenings, actor screenings, director screenings, writer screenings, all these things where you could go to a screening of a brand new movie that wasn't out yet, and someone in the crew or the cast would be there to discuss it, like do a Q&A. I saw so many good ones. I saw Collateral with Michael Mann and Tom Cruise. I saw Sideways with Alexander Payne. I watched The Aviator with Martin Scorsese. He was literally like in the same row as me. I saw a lot of great screenings. A Bellflower with the Medusa car out front of the movie theater and the whole crew there, the actors, everybody. So it was really cool because you can go to these things and you can hear people talk, and it's just invaluable. It kind of demystifies the process, and it's just invaluable to sort of be around that sort of thing where it doesn't seem impossible for you to be doing the same thing. You're in the same room as these people. They talk about the challenges that it took to make their movies and stuff like that. And it was amazing. It was an amazing time in LA, an amazing time in film, honestly. But one of the things when I first got there was I don't know how I had heard about it. Maybe my buddy Mike told me about it. But we went and saw Chris Gore speak. And I knew who he was because I read his book, The Ultimate Film Festival Survival Guide. I owned a copy. It was something that I loved reading. It was really impressive. He had gone to all these film festivals, including all the majors like Sundance and stuff, and he had compiled all this information, and it's for filmmakers, like how to get your stuff seen, different stories from when he was there, and all this stuff. And it's invaluable. It's really entertaining. It's a great book. And if you know anything about Chris Gore and Film Threat and all that stuff, like his personality comes out in the book. And by the time we saw him, and this was like the early 2000s, like he had already, I don't know, like he was on like the 5th edition printing of that book or something. That's how popular it was. Especially like in the late 90s and early 2000s, that was like the heyday of the film festival. So it was invaluable to like beginning filmmakers like we were. So anyway, we go and see him at this tiny little theater in Hollywood. And it was just him on this stage and maybe like 20, 30 people in the audience. There wasn't that many. And it was amazing. He was so cool, so laid back. I think right off the bat, he's like, hey, does anyone want to go next door to the liquor store and get some beers? And of course, we're all like, yeah, let's do it. So he like gave somebody like $40. They went next door and got a couple of cases of like Natty Light or something like that. And we all were cracking beers and talking. And it was amazing. He's just was so personable. The way he is on his podcast, the way he is on his YouTube show and all that stuff. And he's just a chill guy. But the advice that he gave, beyond like the book and everything like that and just how cool he was, he gave some incredible advice, and it stuck with me ever since. I've gotten some great advice maybe 3 times, in all of 20 years, maybe 3 important pieces of advice. And this was the first one, and it was amazing. It was awesome. And as soon as we get in there and we're just starting to crack the beers and everything, the one thing is he's like, all right, now who in here wants to be a filmmaker, writer, director, actor, whatever? And of course, everybody raises their hand. And then he's like, all right, now who in here wants to be a producer? I don't know if anyone raised their hand, maybe one person in the back, I don't even know. And he's like, all right, everybody in here needs to become a producer. And everyone was like, what? I don't want to switch gears. I don't want to do something different. I don't want to not be a writer, director, actor, whatever it is. I want to do those things. And he's like, listen to what I'm saying. Everyone in here needs to be a producer, no matter what you want to do. If you want to write, direct, act, whatever, be a producer, produce your own stuff, produce your own scripts, direct them, produce your own vehicles for your acting, whatever it is. And then he started telling stories. Look, Tom Cruise, Cruise Wagner, they produce all of Tom Cruise's stuff. Tom Hanks, and Playtone, they produce all of his stuff. He does stuff for studios as well, but like actors generate their own projects. Appian Way and Leonardo DiCaprio. Jennifer Lawrence produces a lot of stuff. Now Margot Robbie, famously, she's like producing her own stuff because she produced Barbie, and she's producing a lot of things. So if you have any aspirations, writer, director, actor, whatever it is, I implore you, that is the most important thing, is become a producer. Figure a way to find projects, generate the money needed to finance them, and produce your own stuff. You can do it. I did it. I produced 2 feature films, multiple short films, and for me, it was just because I was writing, and that always stuck in my head. I always saw my writing as my ticket to getting to be able to direct stuff that I wanted to do, like my own projects. And so right off the bat, when I got to LA, I had a little bit of success. I had people interested in my work, right? People talking about, big options, big paydays, all these things. But that always stuck in my head, like, produce your own stuff. And after my TV show got shut down at Fox and a handful of horror projects got shut down at the last minute, I was like, you know what? It's time to live that advice that Chris Gore said and produce my own stuff. And that's what I did. I met up with Mike, who was my filmmaking partner on some of my shorts, and we were roommates and both into film. And my buddy Mark, who was, we had teamed up on a screenplay, I think was the only thing we had done at that point. But he was a roommate of mine as well, and into film, and eventually producing partner. And I got the 3 of them together, and I said, hey, we need to produce our own stuff. All right, like, we all have our little things that are out in the world doing stuff, and they're just falling through. It's just not happening. So let's produce our own project. And they're like, all right. And I said, this was the plan. We will write it around a low budget. We'll each put in, at the time we had no money, so we're like, at the time, we'll each put in $2,000. That gives us $6,000. Now we figure out how we can do that. We're going to make a feature. We'll do it on one location, 3 actors. I'll be one of the actors, so you don't have to pay me. And we're gonna make this movie. And ultimately it became Dark Woods, or Forbidden Attraction, and we sold it. So eventually that budget, ballooned, and we got a name to be in it and all this other stuff. That's for another video. But it was successful. We produced our own film, and we were able to sell it. I did produce a second feature a couple years later that I was very proud of. That disaster struck it at the end, and I had a lot of issues filming that one, but that'll be for another video for later on. But Dark Woods was a success. We saw it from inception. I wrote the script in one day. Me and Mike got together one night. We brainstormed how we wanted to do it. There's going to be 3 actors. There's going to be some sort of a love triangle. There's going to be a thriller element, a horror element. And we kind of we're like, all right, these are the parameters. Cabin in the woods, 3 actors. Now we go from there. And we kind of set up a very loose sort of idea about what we wanted, a couple scenes or whatever. And I just went with it. I think it was the next day, and I just spent the next 8 hours writing nonstop. When you feel like you're going to make something, that this is going to get seen as a film, something sort of wakes up inside of you, and it was very easy for me to sit down for 8 hours straight and finish the script. And for the most part, that is what you see on screen. Now, I did rewrite it a few times, but for the most part, that one sitting is what you see. That is the basic story, the characters, and all that stuff. Eventually, Mike and I got together and we brainstormed and kind of edited the script. When the DP came on board, I storyboarded everything myself, and then I got together with Mike, and he and I kind of tweaked the storyboards together. And then when Andrew Whitaker, our DP, who was phenomenal, when he got involved, him and Mike kind of did their own thing and storyboarded a couple things, from the cinematographer's point of view to make things easier and whatever. And for the most part, all the shots I'm really proud of, and the way we told the story pictorially, that's all in the movie. So I was really proud of that. I'll talk about this movie, Dark Woods, and all the issues with it, the things I'm happy with, the things I'm not happy with, the reception it got, and the fact that we were able to sell it for twice what we, put into it. That's for another video. I just want to tell you that, Chris Gore, like I've been watching his stuff in Film Threat like ever since. He's just amazing. He's just got great insight in the industry, and I like his opinions on movies. He's very fun, and like getting that advice from him literally changed my life. And as I gear up to produce another film, like I'm always thinking about that. So shout out to Chris Gore, best advice ever. All right, I'll see you on the next film. See you tomorrow.